at Blast Colt. This is Lulu, my technical advisor. My beautiful, lovely, well, I'm not going to hit you, it's cool. I beat her off camera just to make her sit like that most of the time. Anyway, I want to show you the new 145 I just finished. Removable neck. This base is super cool. I was kind of building the base for the shop and just to try out all of the, all the fancy stuff I offer on bases, just to put one together as if I was building it for myself. It's sold halfway through, but I still got to build it just like I wanted it. So I'm going to take you through from the top to the bottom and show you what's going on in the space. First, we have the quarter sawn maple neck, and I take 2 pieces of quarter sawn, laminate them down the center, and then carve the neck, carve the scroll, and you can see the 4 scallops I have. Most builders use 2 scallops down the back. I do 4. Also make these tune machines, all in-house. This set I made these kind of kidney bean, wingnut looking tuners. Got brass gears, sandblasted brass keys. I find that when you do the sandblasting on the keys, it keeps them looking nice, whereas if they're polished, you get tarnishing and fingerprints all over them. Also on the inside of the peg box, all of the surfaces that create the inset of the peg box are radiused, and that keeps the scroll from breaking if it gets shocked or hit. It's just kind of another way to make it a little bit stronger without adding any weight. I finished this base in nitrocell lacquer. It's kind of a satin finish. But on the neck, I left it raw, just kind of faded my finish. You can see that. And oil finished the neck, so you have a nice wood feel. Kind of a natural raw wooden feel. You can see here, this is the seam where the neck joins. The neck is the same piece of wood all the way through to the back of the neck heel, so when things move, shrink, and expand with weather and seasons, they do it exactly the same, so it always fits really nice. There's actually a dovetail joint in here and a carbon fiber rod that lines everything up when you put it together. You can see here on the Blast Colt coin, you just press it in here, lift it out. 1 screw in here comes with a wrench. Pull it off, the neck goes off, goes back on, and then you pop that back in. So we'll move down to I used a really nice piece of ebony for this fingerboard and for the nut. I had this piece laying around for a while, and I planned on using it when I did a fully flamed maple base. It's actually flamed. It's really hard to see. We'll try to get a photo on there so you can see it. It's a really beautiful piece of ebony anyway, and it goes with the flamed maple top and the flamed maple back. Now these are laminated, book matched in the center, and it's a thin veneer, and we go the same as all of the other Blast Colt laminated bases we do: maple, mahogany, maple, mahogany, maple, mahogany. And the same with the ribs. The ribs aren't flamed. I took it's kind of a Rootbeer, toasty Rootbeer burst out to dark brown. And the sides kind of fade in and out of that as well, but they're dark. I did the Pearloid binding, which I love doing. I just love the look of bound double bases, and I haven't done one in quite a while. You shave the edges of the top and the back, and then you cut a mortise for the routs. And I use this beautiful vintagey nitrocell Pearloid. And I did the F-holes as well. It takes tons of labor and detail time, but I love doing that type of work and inlay and things like that. And that was one of the first things I wanted to do on the base that I built for the shop or for here, was just to deck it out with all this binding. I also striped it too, just to add a little bit more detail edges, the top and the back, so I used gold and did, you know, little corner details. Nothing that was too loud or stood out too much, just enough to add a bit of detail, kind of like a purfling would on a carved base. So we'll move down to the bridge. The strings are a hybrid, 2 plain gut, 2 wound guts, and this is a blast colt bridge. I used a nice batch. I have a nice batch of European maple, this old aged European maple, and I had this guy roast it for me, and it came out great. Sounds good. They're really light but still strong. Nice tight quarter sawn grain. We have the 6-star blast colt adjusters, and then the Channel Blaster 2. This one has the acrylic pickup. There's the thumb screw for it. This thing sounds large, boomy. All of the electronics are built into the tailpiece, and you just plug in like you would any other guitar. You don't need a stereo cable, although it's a stereo pickup. There's actually a pickup behind the fingerboard that picks up the slap and this, and it's all blended here with the controls in the back. And I run it into my favorite amp here, is the Orange Terror 500, which has a 2 preamp. It's the reason I love it so much. It sounds great. The preamp's almost voiced for double bass exclusively. I have everything kind of flat. I have the mids cut slightly, but everything's pretty much on 12. This pickup system has a lot of gain, so I have the gain and volume turned way down. And I'm using the Orange single 12-inch cabinet. So there's 2 12s there, and they're really lightweight, but this thing's almost as loud and boomy and clean as an 810 cabinet. But I love these Terror bass amps. I've been using them for years, since they came out. I love them because I can carry them on flights and bring my head with me everywhere I go, and no matter what backline they have, I know when I plug this baby in, it's going to sound great. So anyway, I've got that kind of set flat, and the same with the EQ in the back here. It's set flat. It's just warm, you know, the tubes warm it up. It's a Class D amp, but with the gut strings, the Channel Blaster 2, and those tubes, it sounds really nice. And I find you can put, that's a 500 watt amp, so you could probably use 4 of those things and play a stadium with the cabinets anyway. So moving on, we have inside here, I have the sound post set to where this thing is not just an electric bass. You can get some nice microphone sounds as well. I mean, acoustically it sounds really nice. Put this on standby, and so it still has some acoustic tone to it. It's not deadened all the way with my sound placement, which I can do for guys who just use these basses to play, you know, with huge amps, and they're always electrified. This guy, he's the guy I'm building for, plays some rockabilly. He plays pretty big stages, but also wants that warmth. So I've set the sound post kind of a traditional spot, but this is also a removable neck travel bass, and a lot of times if you remove the tension of your string and your bridge here when you're pulling them apart and you give it a knock, the sound post is going to fall into the bottom of the bass. So I have a little system in the back that locks it into place and keeps it from falling when you pull it all apart, and if it gets a nice shock, it's not going to fall down. So when you get to your gig, you're not going to be like, oh no, my sound post is in the bottom of my bass, which can happen. So that covers about everything except for the end pin. Now, the end pin is it's an ebony end pin with brass collar, brass thumb screw, and a stainless steel, aircraft stainless pin, and the Blast Colt skate wheel foot. And these skate wheel feet last forever, and they grip really nice. You can see them on a glossy, slick floor, but you know, even leaning it over, it doesn't slide around. You can drag this thing all over the stage. You're never gonna wear these things out. They just last forever, and that was an issue that I've always had, and I know tons of other people have had, about a rubber foot that, you know, it unscrews, it wears through, and then you have the sharp pin at the end digging into your hardwood floor, and you're sliding all around on the stage. So this thing just kills all of those issues. One swoop, done. Blast Cold skate wheels, and we're actually selling the whole end pin assembly. So if you want to set up your personal base, it's not a Blast Cold. You can buy one of these from us and never have to worry about your stupid little crutch foot that's gonna wear through. That's about it on this base. I don't even want to send it out. I want to keep this one myself.